It happened 3 days after my family threw me and my kids out. The universe flipped a coin and it landed on a miracle. Before I tell you how betrayal turned into a 7-0 kind of blessing, tell me real quick. Where are you watching from? Your kitchen? Bus? Pillow? Drop it in the comments. And do one bold thing for yourself. Hit subscribe, like, and turn on that bell. Welcome to Voice of Mama Zee, where we don't do boring. We do goosebumps. We do wait. What? We do true stories that leave you a little braver than you came. Now lean in. My name is Naya. I'm 33, mother of 2, Molly, 10 going on professor, and Saad, 5 going on firecracker. Their father, Kobe, passed last year. A quiet storm named illness that emptied our savings, our plans, our bedtime laughter. We survived the funeral and the paperwork and the long silent lunches where someone asks, "How are you?" Like it's a math problem and you're supposed to give the right answer. We were surviving barely, in a small apartment with a stubborn sink and a view of the alley. Rent crept up like weeds. I was juggling 2 part-time jobs. Nights at a grocery store, mornings cleaning offices because grief doesn't pay the light bill. When the landlord raised rent again, I called my mother. She said, "Come home for a while, till you catch your breath." My brothers voted yes in our group chat. My aunties sent "proud of you" messages. I believed them. We arrived with 2 suitcases, a bag of school uniforms, and a box of photographs I couldn't bear to leave behind. The house smelled like stew and lemon cleaner. My mother, Mama Saad, hugged my children long and hard, then pressed her cheek to mine. "You'll be okay," she whispered. "You're not alone." For a week it felt true. My brothers took the kids to the park. My mother braided Saada's hair and taught Molly how to wash rice until the water stops arguing. We ate dinner at the long table under the clacking ceiling fan. People said soft things that stitched the edges of me back together. On day 8 the stitches tugged. I came downstairs late, tiptoeing toward the kitchen for water. Voices floated from the living room, low, urgent. I meant to turn back. Then I heard my name. "She's still here," my aunt said. "And with the kids. This house is not a shelter." "She's grieving," Mama said. "We're all grieving." "Your daughter must learn the world is not soft," my uncle added. "She needs to stand on her own feet. They eat a lot. Light bill rises. Food vanishes. We are not rich." "It's temporary," Mama said, but her voice sounded tired, like a prayer that's been folded and unfolded too many times. "And when is temporary?" my older brother asked. "She should go to Kobe's family." "They have their own problems," someone muttered. "Anyway, she must contribute. What does she bring to the table?" The words landed like stones. Burden. Liability. Not daughter. Not mother of their grandchildren. Not widow still learning how to live with an empty side of the bed. I stood very still in the hallway, tears pushing behind my eyes like a storm trying the window. Pride made me swallow them. I filled a glass, drank, climbed back upstairs, and lay awake till the ceiling blurred. I listened to my kids breathing, the small honest sound that has saved me 1,000 times, and promised them silently, "I will not let your childhood be a room where you learn to apologize for existing." Morning made everything worse. They called a family meeting. That phrase always sounds like a hug until it isn't. We sat around that long table. The same one where we'd clinked spoons over jollof rice a few nights before. Mama wouldn't meet my eyes. "Naya," my uncle began, folding his hands like a judge. "We have discussed. You need to make a plan to move out by the end of the week." Where would she go? Mama whispered. "Anywhere," my aunt said, sharp as citrus. "She is young. She can manage. We cannot carry her." Carry. The word stung because I had never asked to be lifted, only not to be pushed. "I contribute," I said quietly. "I clean. I cook. I buy groceries when I can. I watch the children of this house, your grandchildren, your nieces. I'm applying for full-time work." "It is not enough," my brother said, not unkind, just distant, like his heart had moved 2 chairs over. "We are stretched." I looked at Mama. She stared at her hands. Maybe stay 2 more days," she offered, the compromise of someone trying to love 2 directions at once. 2 days later, they stood on the porch and watched me arrange our lives into a taxi. Saad clutched her stuffed rabbit, like it could read maps. Molly pretended to be brave the way 10-year-olds do, jaw clenched, eyes shiny. I told them it was an adventure. I told them we'd be okay. I told myself I believed it. The driver asked, "Where to?" I said the only truth I had. "Start driving. I'll tell you when to stop." We drifted through the city, past the church where I'd said, "I do," past the pizza place where Kobe taught Molly to fold slices without spills, past the pharmacy clerk who still looks at me with that gentle pity that makes me want to scream. The taxi's meter climbed. My money shrank. I told the driver to stop near a park with a small fountain that never worked right. We checked into a cheap motel. Buzzing neon, thin towels, carpet with a pattern built to hide secrets. I braided Sada's hair with my fingers and told her stories until she fell asleep. Molly lay on his back, hands behind his head like a man thinking big thoughts. "Are we poor?" he asked. "We are between things," I said. "Between small and better." He nodded like he understood maps I could not read. The next morning, I strapped Saad into the stroller I'd bought secondhand and we walked. We walked to the library. Air conditioning, kindness, sturdy quiet. To the community center, flyers about jobs, classes, hope. To the grocery store where I stretched $10 into pasta, eggs, bananas, and the cheap paper towels that scratch your fingers. I registered on a cleaning app, picked up gigs, scrubbed other people's kitchens until my shoulders hummed, and told myself this is not forever. I smiled big and easy at my kids and saved my crying for the shower, where water equalizes all stories. Still, loneliness has hands. It touches your cheeks in the night and whispers your worst memory over and over like a lullaby that hates you. On the third evening, I sat on the motel bed and sorted receipts like they were tarot cards that could predict a kinder tomorrow. Saad colored in a free restaurant menu, turning cartoons into magicians. Molly read a book about constellations and asked if stars ever fall on purpose. My phone buzzed. It was my cousin Teo. "Hey," he said. "I heard things. Come to the gas station on Maple if you can. I have something for you." Teo is the cousin everyone calls when a car won't start or a prayer won't either. I trusted him. We walked in the warm dusk, the kind that smells like fried plantain and rain that changed its mind. Teo waited by pump 3, a baseball cap low over his eyes, arms open. He hugged me gently, like I might shatter or punch him. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't agree with them." "Family is complicated," I said, because the truth is too heavy to carry every day. He pressed a small envelope into my hand. "It's not much. Enough for a few nights. And Naya, don't laugh. I bought a lottery ticket for you. I know, long shot. But sometimes God hides yes in ridiculous places." I did laugh, tired, grateful. "If we win, I'll buy you a hat that isn't pretending to be new," I teased. He grinned. "Deal." Back at the motel, after the kids fell asleep like 2 commas in the sentence of my life, I remembered the envelope. I tucked the cash in my shoe and unfolded the ticket. I thought of Kobe laughing at game shows, shouting answers like a friend could hear him through the television. He used to say, "I don't gamble. I tithe and I take long shots on joy." "Okay." I told the ugly floral curtains. "Let's try joy." I Googled the draw date and the numbers. The site loaded slow, as if suspense were its business model. I read the winning line once, twice. My brain refused to translate. On the third reading, my hands started to shake. First number, match. Second match. Third match. Fourth match. Fifth match. Powerball match. I checked again on 3 different sites like a woman cross-examining hope. Same result. $70 million. The room seemed to tilt and recenter around my children, because that's what wealth means in a mother's language. Steady air around the people you love. I didn't scream. I laughed. The kind of laugh that has tears braided into it. The kind that is prayer and apology at once. I covered my mouth so I wouldn't wake the kids and said into my palm, "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Morning was a movie where your body acts normal in a world that just changed. I brushed Sada's hair. I packed snacks. I checked the numbers again. I called the lottery office from a borrowed library phone, because caution is a mother too. "Ma'am," the official said kindly after our ritual verification dance, "do not tell anyone." Get a lawyer. Get a financial advisor. Decide if you want your name public. I want anonymity like it's oxygen, I said. They gave me names. I made appointments. Teo met me outside the attorney's building with coffee and a grin that tried to keep up with the size of the news. We didn't talk about the number out loud on the sidewalk. Some blessings prefer a whisper. The lawyer was a woman in a navy suit with the kind of calm you borrow. The advisor was a patient man who explained taxes like bedtime stories. We formed a trust with a name that sounded like a tree. We organized payments and protections. We talked about what to tell Molly and Saad, and what not to tell the internet ever. And then, there is no drumroll that sounds right. The money existed in a way that mattered. Not as a myth, not as a maybe, but as numbers in accounts with instructions for kindness. I bought nothing loud. I rented a small house near the ocean because waves explain things to grief. I purchased a safe car that looked like a promise. I found a school for the kids where teachers said their names like gifts. I stocked our kitchen with food that didn't apologize. On our first Sunday in the new house, Saad pushed every light switch just to watch a room obey. Molly stood on the deck and named the first 10 constellations he could find with his app and a brave finger. I made pancakes with extra vanilla, because life owed us the smell of sweetness. It took exactly 9 days for my phone to become a drum. At first it was a text from my aunt. Checking in, dear. How are the kids? Come for dinner. Then my brother. We miss you. Let me take Molly to the game. Then Mama. Can we talk? Then a number I didn't recognize. We know. We are family. We should sit down. I didn't respond. Love cannot be a fire alarm you pull only when you smell money burning. They arrived anyway. I saw them through the camera. The porch suddenly full of people who share my face. Mama stood slightly apart, clutching her purse like a rosary. My uncle's smile tried too hard. My aunt held a foil pan like food could fix something food had broken. I opened the door exactly as wide as peace permits. Naya, Mama began, voice shaking. We heard news. My uncle stepped in. Congratulations, he said like a politician. We are happy for you. And the children. My aunt jumped to the point. We were wrong. We were grieving. Please forgive. We want to be in their lives. We can help. Help. Like the kind I begged for before the zeros existed. I looked at Mama. Tears lived at the edges of her eyes. I am sorry, she whispered. I should have fought for you harder. Something in me softened toward her, the part that remembers she worked double shifts to buy us shoes that didn't squeak, that she braided my hair tenderly even when her fingers hurt. But softness is not the same as surrender. I forgive you, I said to her. Relief flashed across her face. But forgiveness is not a key to this door. Not yet. My uncle frowned. We are family. You were family, I said gently. On the day you called me a burden, you turned us into guests who'd overstayed. I will not host that version of you in the new house we are building. My aunt's mouth tightened. So you think money makes you better? No, I said and felt the truth anchor me. Money makes me safer. Being better is work I have to do when no one is watching. Like knowing who I can trust with my children's peace. Mama reached for my hand. Can we start again? Slowly. Supervised visits? Church on Sundays? I will do what you say. Her humility cracked me. Grief and pride are cousins. They both make you do foolish things. I squeezed her fingers. Maybe. But we will do it my way. 1 hour at the park. No unannounced visits. If anyone disrespects me or the children, that hour ends. Do you understand? My uncle sputtered. This is nonsense. We raised you. You raised me to survive, I said softly. Now I am learning to live. I closed the door gently enough to be an answer, not a punishment. I leaned my head against the wood and breathed. Saad tugged my dress. Is Grandma mad? She is learning, I said. Like all of us. For a while, life was simple in the way you pray for when your bones are tired. School drop-offs. Grocery lists that don't hurt. Evenings on the deck with homework and tea and the kind of silence that means peace, not absence. I did not buy a boat. I bought a bookshelf. I did not buy jewelry. I bought time. Tutors, therapy, a housekeeper twice a week. so I could sit on the floor and build a castle from blocks with my daughter without thinking about the dishes. I watched my son's shoulders relax, his laughter forget to check for permission first. But wealth that only cocoons you turns stale. Blessings are meant to have windows. On a Tuesday that smelled like rain and new notebooks, I toured a building with peeling paint and a bright soul. It used to be a daycare. It had been asleep for years. I walked through the rooms and saw what could be. Bunk beds and books and a kitchen that smelled like cinnamon and dignity. I signed papers. We painted walls the soft green of courage. We ordered sheets that felt like someone was on your side. We opened Harbor House. Not a shelter, a launch pad for women with children who'd been shoved to the edge of survival by grief, by layoffs, by one wrong lover, by one right decision that cost too much. I hired a director who knows forms and mercy. We built partnerships with clinics and schools. We designed an emergency pantry for nights when dinner needs to be easy and steady. We set a rule: no shame. If you cry, we hand you tissue and sit next to you. If you laugh, we don't shush you. If you need to sleep for a whole day to remember you are human, we make sure your kids are read to and fed and seen. Rebecca. Yes, I have a Rebecca too, a friend whose living room floor once held my whole life, became the program manager. Payment plan for this miracle, she joked, and I laughed until my throat hurt. 2 months after opening, Harbor House had 12 families and the smell of hope you can't bottle. There was a wall where children taped drawings of houses with too many windows and people with too many smiles. One little girl drew me with a cape. I cried in the supply closet and called it dust. My phone still buzzed with relatives who wanted the photo opportunity of forgiveness. I stuck to my rules. Mama met us at the park on Sundays sometimes. She carried juice boxes like offerings. She told stories about Kobe that made Molly squint with the exact same wrinkle between his eyes. I watched her carefully. She watched herself carefully too. The others sent long messages where apology wore fancy shoes. I didn't answer. Peace is expensive. I am done bargaining. Then came the day the past knocked in steel-toe boots. I was slicing mangoes when the doorbell sang. I checked the camera. My older brother stood there alone, shoulders bowed by something heavier than ego. I opened the door because history is a magnet, and because I could always close it again. I need help, he said, no preamble. My wife lost her job. Rent is due. I'm ashamed to ask, but I don't know what else to do. Some stories are not circles. They are spirals. They return, but not to the same place. I leaned against the frame. Do you remember the day you called me a burden? He closed his eyes. Every morning when I brush my teeth. Good, I said, not cruelly, merely noting a fact. Here's what I can offer. A path, not a payout. Harbor House has a financial literacy program and a job pipeline. I can pay 1 month's rent directly to your landlord on the condition you attend the program and show proof of job applications. No cash passes your hand. No secrets. Are you willing? His face did something complicated. Pride and hunger wrestled. Hunger won. Yes, he whispered. We did the paperwork. He sent me the landlord's information. I sent the check. He started the program. He showed up to every class, clutched his attendance sheet like fragile proof, took notes like grades could save him. My aunt called to accuse me of humiliating him with hoops. I hung up. Boundaries are boring to bullies. Weeks turned into something resembling a rhythm. My brother found work, not glamorous, honest. He texted me photos of his first pay stub like a child with a report card. I sent a confetti emoji and a prayer hand and 4 mangoes to his porch because some languages need fruit. Mama kept meeting us at the park. Saad began calling her grandma who brings juice. Molly taught her the names of stars. One afternoon, Mama said, "Can I come to your house? Not inside. Just to see the door you closed on me and will open someday." Someday, I said. Not yet. But someday is a kind word if you let it be. Not everyone chose the path. My uncle wrote me a letter with numbers and righteousness. I sent him a link to Harbor House and a gentle, "We don't do miracles on demand." My aunt sent photos of fancy fundraisers and asked for a donation in the family's name. I sent money to the quiet woman who runs the soup kitchen on our old street instead. Here's what wealth has taught me. Money is a microphone. It doesn't change your voice, it makes it louder. If you were cruel, you get bolder. If you were kind, you get braver. I am trying every day to be the second one. There were, of course, nights I lay awake and wondered if I'd become hard. If drawing lines had turned me into a person who loves receipts more than people. On those nights, I walked into the kids' room and listened to them sleep until my heart remembered its job. I made tea. I wrote down 3 women from Harbor House who laughed that day. I wrote down 3 ways I had been soft, let someone cut in line, tipped the tired cashier, told myself I was doing my best and believed it. On the anniversary of Kobe's passing, we drove to the ocean before sunrise. We carried flowers and the kids' drawings, and one of his old t-shirts I still keep in a drawer that smells like before. We stood at the edge where water negotiates with land and said the names of our favorite memories. Saad said, "Daddy was the best at silly faces." Molly said, "He knew every lyric to songs he pretended to hate." I said, "He loved us like it was his job." And the sun agreed. We threw the petals and the drawings into the water gently, and let the waves do what waves do. Receive and return. Take and tell. Repeat until the sharpness is sand. On the drive home, the kids fell asleep in the back seat like 2 commas again. And I whispered to the windshield, "We're okay, you know. We're better than okay." Months rolled into the soft kind of steady. Harbor House grew a sprout in another neighborhood. A donor, anonymous like me, covered 3 years' rent if we promised to teach entrepreneurship to women who could turn their cooking into catering, their braids into salons, their lullabies into daycare. We said yes so fast it sounded like a laugh. One evening, as we stacked books in the new space, Mama came in with a bag of light bulbs and determination. "I want to volunteer," she said. "Are you sure?" I asked, because helping sometimes feels like confessing. "I'm sure," she answered. "This is how I learned the language of your boundaries." She started in the pantry, labeling shelves with a neat hand, whispering to cans like they were cousins. The women loved her because she knows how to listen without treating you like a project. Watching her there, hair scarfed back straight, I let something unclench in me I didn't know I'd been holding. Weeks later, after a Sunday at the park where Saad fell asleep on her lap, I said, "Come for tea." Mama stood in my doorway and didn't cross the threshold until I nodded. We sat at the table with biscuits that pretend they're fancy, and she looked at the walls like they might ask her a question on a test. "I like your house," she said. "Me too," I replied. "It likes me back." We talked about small things, the neighbor's cat, the best brand of dish soap, the sermon we both half listened to. We didn't talk about the day they pushed me out. That conversation needs a different table. But when she left, she touched the door gently and said, "Thank you for letting me start over." I closed the door and leaned my forehead against it and cried. You are not a weather report someone can curse and ignore. You are a whole person with a name that deserves to be said kindly. I did not forgive because they changed. I forgave because I did. Forgiveness is the lock I take off my own chest. Boundaries are the fence I keep around my garden while it learns to bloom. As for the 70 million, it did not fix grief. Money cannot press a kiss onto a forehead in the dark. It cannot make a child's joke land the way dad's laugh used to. But money can widen the road beneath your feet, so you don't trip every 3 steps. It can turn the volume down on panic until you can hear your own courage speak. It can buy cereal without calculating, a mattress without bargaining, time without apology. On the day Harbor House graduated its first cohort, 12 women walked across our little stage holding diplomas and children, and the kind of joy that throws light like confetti. We clapped until our palms hummed. I gave a small speech, hands shaking even though I talk for a living now. I said, "They called us liabilities. We learned to become assets to one another. They called us burdens. We learned to carry each other lightly. They threw us out. We built a door." After the ceremony, my brother hugged me awkwardly. "Thank you," he said, "for the hoops." "You did the jumping," I replied. Mama stood with Saad, both of them eating cupcakes like proof of concept. Molly dragged me to the courtyard to show me the constellation mural the kids painted on the wall. "That one is us," he said, pointing to a cluster of dots connected with the kind of confidence that turns random into map. "We look like a big spoon. We hold things." We went home. I made stew. The kids did homework at the kitchen table. The same kind of table where I once heard people debate the weight of me. I set out bowls. I lit a candle because we have survived enough darkness. I poured water into glasses that catch the light in small, happy ways. I stood there for a second. Just long enough to take a picture with my mind. And then I took a breath and said the line that means we are safe. Come eat. If this story met you somewhere tender, subscribe to Voice of Mama Zee. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me the one thing you're holding that feels heavy, and I'll hold it with you in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to remember that rejection isn't prophecy and delay isn't denial. They threw me and my kids out. Days later, I won the lottery. They came crawling back. I didn't open the door for money. I opened it for mercy, with a lock I controlled.